Seth Rollins to drop his World Heavyweight Championship to the Fiend at WWE SummerSlam, real reasons why Solo Sikoa betrayed Jimmy Uso on WWE SmackDown, Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn to feud for several more years, LA Knight's future in WWE bright, WWE has no plans for Grayson Waller, Seth Rollins on his first challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship. Let's jump right into it. Real reasons why Solo Sikoa betrayed Jimmy Uso on WWE SmackDown. WWE's angle with the bloodline is cinema. At least that's what most fans seem to think on social media. Given the increase in the company's popularity and in various business metrics over the past year or so, it may very well be true. There was a lot of drama with the faction led by Roman Reigns as of late, with it seemingly peaking at Night of Champion. It was then that Jimmy Uso, tired of Roman's disrespect, shockingly superkicked the undisputed WWE Universal Champion 2 times. The Usos then interrupted Roman's special ceremony on Friday Night SmackDown. When things got heated, they tried to convince Roman to act better and to fix the group. Roman feigned that he would, only to kick Jimmy out of the group. In doing so, Solo, who was seemingly on his brother's side, proceeded to betray Jimmy and hit him with a vicious spike. Fans were shocked to see a brother turn on his own sibling, and now have questions. The biggest question, of course, is why. Why would Solo stab his own brother in the back? This piece will look at a handful of possible reasons. Here are 5 reasons why Solo Sikoa betrayed Jimmy Uso on WWE SmackDown. Number 5. Money is a major motivator. To paraphrase the great Ted DiBiase, everybody's got a price. While WWE fans love to imagine that the superstars are in it for the glory and the love of the game, the truth is, many want money. Money does make the world go round after all. Solo Sikoa spent a lot of time on his own, and if he lived in the streets, he likely didn't have much money. It would make sense that he never wants to go back to living that way. More importantly, he's driven to never be like that again, no matter the cost. If Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman offered Solo Sikoa a pretty penny to betray his brothers, he likely would have done it in a heartbeat. To some people, money and comfort comes above all else, even family. Number 4. Paul Heyman could have manipulated Solo Sikoa. Paul Heyman is one of the greatest talkers of all time. The former WWE general manager and former ECW head has managed some of the best wrestlers of all time, but he's also known for his artful manipulation. Not only can he masterfully tell a story on the microphone, but he can lie and manipulate others in ways that somehow end up with people laughing along with him as if he's a funny swindler and liar. While many have looked back at his antics fondly, make no mistake about it, Paul can be a vile human being. He has done awful things in and out of WWE, and there's a good chance that he has been manipulating Solo Sikoa for almost a year now, preparing him for this very day. Perhaps it was Heyman who got into Solo's head and convinced him to betray Jimmy. Number 3. WWE has touched on the Usos and Solo Sikoa's strained relationship in the past. While WWE fans see Solo Sikoa and the Usos as a somewhat happy family, at least when Roman Reigns isn't around, the truth may not exactly be as cherry. In fact, even prior to this assault, there have been a lot of issues between the family. Solo had been seemingly ready to take them out on a few occasions in the past. While it may appear he's doing it simply because Roman requests it, their issues go deeper. There's a reason why Solo Sikoa is called the Street Champion. WWE has explained that Solo was abandoned by his family. While the Usos and Roman Reigns found success in the company and other family members were together, Sikoa was always on his own. That made him grow bitter and angry. His bitterness could have been the true reason for his betrayal. Number 2. Roman Reigns is the king of gaslighting his family. Roman Reigns isn't exactly the kindest person in the world. His treatment of the Usos and even Paul Heyman is well documented. While he'll yell at them and intimidate them, an oftentimes overlooked aspect of their dynamic is when he's kinder. The undisputed WWE Universal Champion is a gaslighter. He will lie and manipulate his way into getting what he wants. He did it to both Jimmy and especially Jey Uso in the past, guilt-tripping them into getting exactly what he needs and desires without a care about their feelings. There's no doubt that Roman has been doing the same thing to Solo. While much of their conversations have been behind shut doors, he's likely been telling Solo both that he's the only one who cares for youngest Simone and that his brothers abandoned him. He knows how to toy with people as if they're puppets on a string. Number 1. It could be a plan to get at Roman himself. Solo Sikoa betrayed his brother with a vicious Samoan spike on WWE SmackDown. There is no denying that it happened, and there's no way to pretend that it didn't happen for the sake of story. Still, that doesn't mean he's necessarily loyal to Roman Reigns. As noted, Solo was cast off and pushed aside by the family in the past, which is what made him the Street Champion. While that did include the Usos, Roman could certainly be somebody he has issues with as well. There's a chance Solo is staying close to Roman Reigns in the hopes of one day stabbing the tribal chief in the back. In doing so, he could potentially be setting himself up for a chance to win the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. You think Solo Sikoa will turn on Roman Reigns in future? Sound it off in the comment section below. Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn to feud for several more years. Sami Zayn thinks his current chapter with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline is over for now, but if done right, it could last for another 3 or 4 years. Zayn celebrated the Bloodline's implosion at Night of Champions when Jimmy Uso superkicked his tribal chief twice. It led to Zayn and Kevin Owens retaining the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships, as Reigns looked on in shock. In an appearance on WWE's After the Bell podcast, Zayn discussed the end of his chapter in the Bloodline storyline. He also explained why he thinks the story can continue for years to come without tiring the fans. In some ways, I think the evolution of the story, and this is me speculating, Zayn said. While I think the Sami and Kevin side has kind of put a bow on it, we got their revenge on Roman, and now we've seen the Bloodline crumble or at least appear to splinter. I do think it could be one of those things that is so magical, like Kevin and Sami. Zayn continued. The key to it could be going apart and coming back together, going apart, coming back together, to where it could actually be, if you do it successfully. Could be woven in a way for another 3-4 years, but you do it in a way that is conscientious to where you're not burning fans out on it, where they're actually excited to see the next stage of it. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are set to move on from the Bloodline. They are currently in a feud with Imperium, but recent reports suggest that they could also be facing the Judgment Day sometime soon. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns and the Bloodline are set to confront Jimmy Uso's actions at Night of Champions on this week's SmackDown. The Bloodline storyline has taken a lot of turns over the past couple of years, but it could eventually lead to Roman Reigns making a babyface turn. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer has speculated that Reigns will become a hero again once Cody Rhodes finishes his chapter with them. The angle remains the focal point of the company and has plenty of twists and turns left, Meltzer said. There's who Jey Uso sides with that can be dragged out the inevitable Sikoa and Reigns feud. More with Reigns versus Cody Rhodes way down the line, and in the end, the Reigns babyface turn in the role as the all-time legend, which it seems these past few years is grooming him to be, and the special attraction superhero babyface for the big shows. For the first time, the cracks within the Bloodline have officially been shown. Jimmy Uso's kick heard around the world will have consequences. Jey Uso will likely make a hard decision heading into a very interesting time ahead of Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. What do you think will be the conclusion of Roman Reigns' storyline with the Bloodline? Give your thoughts in the comments section below. LA Knight's future in WWE bright. Wrestling veteran Dutch Mantel recently spoke about LA Knight's claim to fame in WWE. Knight got the biggest win of his career this week on SmackDown. The self-proclaimed megastar was in a Money in the Bank qualifying match against Montez Ford. After a roller coaster matchup, the 40-year-old rolled up forward and used the ring ropes for leverage to pin his opponent. With the win, he made sure that he would be in the Money in the Bank ladder match in London on July 1. On a recent episode of Smack Talk, Mantel mentioned that Knight had become successful despite WWE mishandling him at the start of his main roster run. The former manager stated that LA Knight was getting one of the best reactions from the fans and predicted that a babyface turn was just around the corner. LA Knight has climbed the mountain. They started him out with maximum male models. I predicted dead on arrival, which it was. Then they brought him back and beat him and beat him and beat him. And then he's one of the most over guys they got right now. So if they just do a good, serious angle with him, he's there. He's there already. People want to like him even as a heel. I think later on we'll see him turning babyface at a good time and he'll take off. During the same conversation, Mantel claimed that Knight had the potential to go all the way and win the coveted contract at the next premium live event. He detailed that if the megastar chose to cash in on Roman Reigns, he would automatically become a babyface. I don't think you would physically turn him at this point. If he showed up against Roman Reigns, he'll automatically be a babyface. That takes care of the problem. While Knight, Ricochet, and Shinsuke Nakamura are already in the match, it will be interesting to see which other stars emerge as winners in the qualifying matches building up to the event. Do you think LA Knight will win the Money in the Bank ladder match? Let us know in the comments section below. WWE has no plans for Grayson Waller. It's hard for every star on Raw and SmackDown to get pushed. More often than not, WWE has plans for a specific set of talent, while other superstars simply have their place on the roster. One particular star, however, seems to have nothing planned for him. We're talking about none other than the 33-year-old Grayson Waller, who debuted on SmackDown after being drafted from NXT. He hosted Raw Women's Champion Asuka on the Grayson Waller Effect this week. The segment quickly saw many other women coming out, including Lacey Evans, Shotzi, Zelina Vega, and Io Sky. Waller watched on as the women of SmackDown began brawling. The segment eventually ended with Asuka and Bianca Belair brawling. But what it also seemed to subtly indicate is that so far, WWE has nothing in store for the Australian star. Waller was promising in NXT, occupying one of the higher spots on the card. He even faced AJ Styles on that show. His entry to the blue brand saw him host Styles on the Grayson Waller Effect, correctly predicting that Seth Rollins would become the World Heavyweight Champion. If WWE continues at this rate with Waller, there will be little interest in him. What are your thoughts on the Grayson Waller Effect? Sound off in the comments section below. Seth Rollins on his first challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins recently reacted to WWE announcing who his first challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship will be. Damian Priest has been on a roll ever since he joined the Judgment Day. His star has been on a massive rise for the past few months. Despite losing to Bad Bunny at WWE Backlash, Priest's career wasn't tarnished. Now it looks like he is finally getting rewarded with the biggest match of his career. WWE recently confirmed that Damian Priest will be Seth Rollins' first challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship. The match is set to take place on the upcoming episode of Monday Night Raw. Following the announcement of the match, Rollins took to Twitter to show how excited he was to be defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Damian Priest this week. Seth won the new World Heavyweight Championship belt after defeating AJ Styles at WWE Night of Champions in an entertaining bout. Following his win at the Premium Live event, Rollins promised that he was going to be a fighting champion on the latest episode of Raw. The former US champion seems to be a perfect opponent for the new world champion. Seth and Damian were involved in a tag team match teaming up with AJ Styles and Finn Balor, respectively. The Visionary was able to pin his new challenger after getting a stomp. Are you excited to see Seth Rollins defend his World Heavyweight Championship on WWE Raw? Sound off in the comments section. Seth Rollins to drop his World Heavyweight Championship to the Fiend at WWE SummerSlam. Seth Rollins prevailed over AJ Styles after a grueling contest at WWE Night of Champions to become the inaugural World Heavyweight Champion. While it has been less than a week since the Visionary became the new champion, fans have already begun speculating about potential names who could dethrone Rollins. One such superstar who could defeat Rollins to capture the World Heavyweight Champion is Bray Wyatt. The former WWE Champion has been on a hiatus since March 2023 due to an undisclosed health issue. However, recent reports have suggested that Wyatt could return on the road to SummerSlam 2023. Meanwhile, there have been conflicting reports on if the company is planning to have Wyatt revert to his old persona of the Fiend upon his return. On another note, Rollins and Wyatt have waged war against each other on several occasions in the past. Given the duo has quite the history between them, WWE's creative team could reignite their rivalry upon Wyatt's return. The Eater of Worlds could target the Visionary following his comeback, setting up a blockbuster match for SummerSlam 2023. If that happens, the odds of Wyatt prevailing over Rollins to become the new champ seem very high. WWE may award Bray with a huge win over Rollins to help him break through on the main roster in his second stint with the company. Seth Rollins' first title defense could be against none other than Brock Lesnar, as the company is reportedly planning to pit the Beast against the Visionary for the World Heavyweight Championship. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter recently revealed that the Beast could challenge Rollins for the title following the latter's win at WWE Night of Champions. That would lead to another match down the road and keep the feud going, and also set up Lesnar for Rollins if he wins the title, because Rollins needs heels and shouldn't be facing Rhodes right away, said Meltzer. While the Beast is currently feuding with Cody Rhodes, the company could put that on hold for the time being. Lesnar could instead turn his attention towards the current World Heavyweight Champion to lay down the breadcrumbs for a match at Money in the Bank 2023, which should challenge Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Sound off in the comments section below.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take